Nikki Haley has most certainly got a post-debate bump. She made the rounds, many of the Sunday talkers this past weekend, and she's being applauded for being honest on many topics, leveling with the American voters, dealing in reality on many issues. And I do happen to agree with that. First and foremost is the national abortion ban. At 15 weeks, Mike Pence and Tim Scott during the debate were very vociferous in regards to something that they feel needs to get done. It's not going to get done. And, Nikki Haley made that perfectly clear. You may want something like that, but right now it's not going to happen. You're not going to have a Senate with 60 Republicans in it that are going to be able to overcome any sort of filibuster. And if you've been taking a look across the country in regards to elections in certain states and referendums, it hasn't been going the way that the pro-life crowd wants. And again, I happen to be somebody that believes in that. But again, I am not going to, I will try to change the minds of people through Socratic debate. I'm most certainly not going to be looking to put anybody in jail. And again, that's a bit of the issue out there. And again, it's the picture that Republicans have painted of themselves. Former South Carolina governor suggested consensus policy making. And I quote, "Can't we all agree that we should ban late-term abortions? Can't we all agree that contraception should be available?" And she called herself unapologetically pro-life. Again, you're talking about Mike Pence's and Tim Scott's idea would get zero support from Democrats in the Senate, and you're not going to break a filibuster. The other thing that I pointed out last week when we talked about the debate was Haley's honesty when it came to government spending. And she called out Donald Trump. $8 trillion to our national debt. $8 trillion. I think George W. Bush added about the same amount because of his adventures in Afghanistan and Iraq. And she said, you look at the 2024 budget, Republicans asked for $7.4 billion in earmarks. Democrats asked for $2.8 billion. This is true. This is true. Explain this to me, all of you Republicans out there. Well, they do it when they're... You're doing the wrong thing. Who are the big spenders right now? It's the Republicans. There was a story, this is in the Wall Street Journal, mentioning a roll call story from last month. House Republicans have so thoroughly stacked the earmarking deck in their favor in appropriations bills for the upcoming fiscal year that the top Democrat recipient doesn't even appear in the top 60. And again, Haley was also honest when Brett Baer asked about President Trump, the elephant not in the room, as Brett Baer put it. 3/4 of Americans don't want a rematch between Trump and Biden. And we have to face the fact that Trump is the most disliked politician in America. We can't win a general election that way. That's right. The only problem, again, people have been talking about Nikki Haley and bump, and we get a lot of questions in regards to this. I don't like her stand on foreign policy at all. I don't like her stand on foreign policy at all. I don't like this interventionist nonsense. I don't believe we need to be here, there, and everywhere, and we need to change direction. And it's amazing. It's extraordinary to watch because you got the powers that be. You got the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal going after Vivek Ramaswamy for his foreign policy and his non-interventionist foreign policy, which again, okay, I happen to like about Donald Trump too. Donald Trump we weren't fighting, we didn't get involved in any foreign wars, okay? Any new foreign wars, any conflicts under Donald Trump, and he deserves credit for that. He does. But man, isn't it amazing? New York Times, Wall Street Journal coming together to go after Vivek for his non-interventionist foreign policy. And I want to end with this. I had a few of my listeners send this to me. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I need to laugh and I forget to go check out the Babylon Bee because they have great stuff there. And this was basically a classic Babylon Bee ripping apart the Republican establishment. Again, this is why I like them, because they're honest. Again, this is a parody. Vivek's foreign policy experience questioned as he's never bombed a brown person before. Presidential hopeful Vivek Ramaswamy's lack of foreign policy experience was brought into focus following last night's Republican primary debate after it was pointed out that he has yet to bomb any brown people. How can he expect to be considered a serious candidate? Asked one anonymous GOP insider. Bombing brown people in other countries is a cornerstone of any comprehensive presidential foreign policy. If he really wants people to consider voting for him, he needs to lay out his plan for bombing the browns. Other political analysts echoed the growing skepticism. What do you mean he hasn't bombed any brown folks? Asked former Vice President Dick Cheney incredulously. That Nikki Haley broad hasn't bombed any brown people either, but she's dying to start a war. This Vivek character obviously doesn't know how foreign policy works on the even most basic fundamental level. Every American president is honor bound to rain hellfire upon brown people. And again, you can check out the rest of the column at Babylon Bee. They do some great parody stuff, but are they wrong? Is it inaccurate? Well, if you read the Journal's editorial page, read the New York Times editorial page, they're all in. They're all in. It's like that Police song, Bombs Away. Yeah, it's a great tune, by the way. WatchDog on WallStreet.com.